Hey, it's Matthew. Before we begin, we want to hear from you. Every couple of years, Table runs a survey to see how we can make our work as relevant for your work. Here's our two-sentence pitch. Food systems sit at the heart of interconnected crises. Yet debates on how to take action are increasingly polarized. You can help Table nurture more productive and relevant debates by taking this short survey. We'll add a link in the show notes. Thanks, and on to the episode. In April 2024, I visited Leuven, Belgium, and spoke to scientists from across the world at the 5th Global Food Security Conference. One highlight for me was meeting 6 of the scientists who won the Elsevier Women in Science Prize. Here's one of the winners, Ajani Kaitesi, describing the award.
2023 was particularly a reflection on food security. It was the 7 of us that were selected from the Global South, and I happen to be one of them. It's been such a beautiful experience.
Each year, this award sheds light on the under-recognized contributions of women from the Global South.
I like the fact that it highlights the role that women in these countries that are normally projected in the scientific world as contributors to most of the work that is done.
Each of these scientists comes from a different training.
My research is at the interface between genetics and entomology.
I'm a biotechnologist.
And I'm a plant pathologist and a fungal geneticist.
Their research is focused on solving different regional challenges.
Top challenges in food insecurity in Mongolia is animal disease and climate change.
I guess the main challenge of food security is like political, social, economical insecurity that we're facing in our region, because like even if you have money, nothing is secure to you.
Welcome to Feed, a food systems podcast presented by Table. I'm Matthew Kessler. This is the third and final part of our series, sharing voices from the Global Food Security Conference. In the last 2 episodes, we discussed global challenges to food security, solutions to make the food system more resilient that deserve more attention, and a deep dive into the economics of the food system. In this episode, we're looking at challenges to food systems across the Global South and how these scientists are tackling these challenges with their research. You'll hear from 6 scientists who come from Bolivia, Sri Lanka, Mongolia, Palestine, Benin, and Rwanda. We'll learn more about the research that they were recognized for, what motivates their work, and the impacts their research is having in their countries and beyond.
Okay, my name is Carla Crespo. I'm from Bolivia. I work at Universidad Mayor de San Andrés in La Paz, Bolivia. I'm a biotechnologist and I'm researching on microbial solutions for agriculture and climate change. Since I was a child, I was so curious and trying to discover how the things function. But then when I started the subject in biology, I wanted to understand how the processes are carried out inside the cells and how they can be exploited in a beneficial way. Now for the agriculture, but I also did some work studying microbes for energy production and bioactive molecules, for instance, for pharmaceutical purposes. Among the top challenges for assuring food security are, of course, as in the whole world, the climate change and the constraints that climate change brings. For example, diseases and pests that are affecting crop productivity. Also, I think another big challenge is in my country is the education. The capabilities, for example, on land management, there is very less investment on education to train the farmers and the people, the technicians, to improve soil properties to get better productivity. These, I think, are 2 main factors that affect food security in my country. We have two strategies currently running in two different projects. One is looking for microbes, communities of bacteria that are able to improve the plant development as growth promoters and confer or induce resistance to drought stress, for instance. So this is done in quinoa fields. So we are looking for microorganisms. Quinoa itself is a drought-tolerant plant. So we are looking for microorganisms that live in quinoa, that have these capacities and are able to use them as a bio-input formulation to improve the productivity of that and other crops. And the other challenge to meet is the diseases. So we work also in the north, in the Amazonian part, where we study coffee fields, because coffee is a commodity product in my country. So it's affected for different pathogens, and among them the fungal pathogens that cause diseases and lower the productivity. So we find biocontrollers that are green solutions against these pathogens. So we can not only study the Bolivian diversity, but give an application of these microbes that are being discovered. With the quinoa, for example, we are working with rural communities. So we go to these families. They are indigenous families that are dedicated to this production. And we had some workshops with them. The ancestral knowledge has been supporting the quinoa production till now. So they have resilience mechanisms. So we are trying to, with the scientific knowledge, understand these mechanisms or validate them and evaluate how really they are improving or not the quinoa production.
Next up is Ajeni Kayatesi, who at one point in her life thought to become either a doctor or a food scientist.
So as an African scientist, I felt it's like a calling for me. My name is Ajeni Kayatesi. I'm originally from Rwanda, but I currently work in South Africa at the University of Pretoria as an associate professor. I'm a food scientist by training. I specialize in food biochemistry, so my research is focused on African grains. Grains that are indigenous to Africa, so your sorghum, millet, and other important legumes. Food insecurity is very personal to me. I grew up a child refugee, so I moved 3 different countries before I turned 7, and so as I grew up, I felt that I needed to do something that would add value in food security because it had been personal and had impact on me. When I decided to go to university and study, option 1 was become a doctor and heal people. But at that time, my home country was just out of a genocide and agricultural systems were a mess. Hunger was a real issue. So as a person navigating the world, choosing which career to take and what contribution I make as a 14-year-old girl, and eventually in my early 20s, I chose agriculture because it was the heart and the soul of the country. And as I dug deeper into the issues of Africa as a continent, I felt this really is at the forefront of what we deal with on a daily basis. My research is still driven by that sense of making contribution, and research into grains and developing products on the African continent using African ingredients tackles issues of affordability and access to food, particularly because I'm using technologies, although advanced in terms of the analytical work that we do and understanding the biochemistry of processes such as fermentation that have implication on nutrition, but also on health. We see a drive into gut health and how it relates to other forms of health. So my research, I believe, in that context is actually contributing beyond the African continent and rather to the general understanding of what is food and how does it link to other systems, health systems, economic systems. One of the recent projects that we've been involved in, my team and collaborators in the US and Jamaica, was a Global Nutritious Composite Flour project. The idea of the project was to use 3 key ingredients. So we used maize, which is predominant grain consumed in Africa, but I also fermented maize. The reason why we did that is maize, like other grains, has what we refer to as anti-nutritional factors, components in that grain that inhibits bioavailability of nutrients. So when we do ferment, in this case, we saw significant improvement in iron bioavailability, which forms part of the hidden hunger issue that we see across sub-Saharan Africa. We used bean flour to improve the protein quality and content in the composite flour and used orange sweet potatoes as a source of vitamin A. In a sense, the project is addressing 3 key deficiencies: protein, iron, and vitamin A, which is an issue in most countries. And what we did, we developed products that would go onto the market with nutrition at the back of our mind.
Okay, my name is Lokoye Inolora Estelle. I'm Beninese. I'm a lecturer. I am researcher at the National University for Science, Technology and Mathematics in the Republic of Benin. I'm entomologist, but my research is at the interface between genetics and entomology. It's focused on the development of alternative methods to protect crops. I explore the use of biological control and also the genetic control, varietal resistance of crop. My research is very important in Africa because a lot of smallholder farmers don't have money to pay pesticide. So for me, it's necessary to develop alternatives accessible to these smallholder farmers. There are several constraints for crop production in my region, but for me, the proliferation of invasive insect pests is the most important because now, for example, we have the invasion of foraminworm worm, which come from America, and which cause enormous losses on maize production. So now the problem is the fact that the farmer don't have any solution to fight this pest and use a lot of chemical pesticide. Chemical pesticides have a serious impact, negative impact on environment and also on human health. I do a survey in 16 villages around my country in Benin. I search the plant used by the local producer to protect store. And actually, I have listed 33 plant, insecticidal plant. And I use this plant, I test this plant in the laboratory to find the more insecticide and use it in the form of biopesticide.
One thing I'm so impressed with is how these scientists connect their very specific research skills to tackle incredibly urgent challenges that both their region and the world is facing. Here's an example from Mongolia.
My name is Mukjargal Tsirundorj. I am vet. I am a researcher at the Institute of Veterinary Medicine in Mongolia, University of Life Science in Mongolia. In my country, in Mongolia, livestock consists of 16% of gross domestic product and providing meat and milk for domestic consumption. top challenges in food insecurity in Mongolia is animal disease and climate change. So in 2009 and 2010, Mongolia lost 9.5 million animals. That is 22% of its livestock. We conducted a number of national and international projects of strengthening capacities in diagnosis and treatment of animal disease, especially tick-transmitted disease. We developed early diagnostic methods in parasitic infection, for example, Coinuria cerebralis, which is caused by tissue parasite. Early diagnostic methods, that is very important.
Next, we move from livestock to crops, from Mongolia to Sri Lanka.
My name is Renuka Attanayaka. I'm from University of Kelaniya, Department of Plant and Molecular Biology, Sri Lanka. And I'm a plant pathologist and a fungal geneticist. That means I'm working on plant diseases, mainly crops, vegetables and fruits, and what makes plants sick, and to find the causes and remedies, basically. When I was a child, my father was a farmer. He was growing rice and chili pepper. So as a kid, I remember walking through these paddy fields and chili gardens. Once the harvest is there, we used to sort them with the ripened ones and unripened ones so that you can sell them in different prices. I remember that we were throwing some bad ones. Now I know that is a disease called anthracnose. And then as a paddy farmer, I have seen how my father has been spraying chemicals and pesticides and fertilizer, and his belief was that the more you apply, you get more result. So later on only I realized that when I'm in science, I realized that that's not the case. So it has to be managed. This is something that triggered me, this has to have a solution. I would say top challenges is price fluctuation. Sometimes of the year, extreme high price for the fruits and vegetables, which is bad for the consumer. On the other hand, sometimes of the year, it's really, really low price for the food. So it's highly fluctuating, and it's because we don't have a nice monitoring system. We don't have a data management system, cohesive system. And another thing is plant diseases. So especially when we don't have a rapid detection diagnostic technique, state-of-the-art technique. So it's too late by the time we find the cause, and the crop is gone by then. We have to move away from the traditional techniques. That is what I do at the moment. We already have set up some PCR-based techniques for some crop species and some population genetics level studies for some particular pathogens. In one case, we found a particular pathogen which lives in soil, infecting cabbage, and the pathogen name is Sclerotinia. So it can live in soil for 8-10 years. So once it is in the soil, we really can't do anything. So we tested the particular technique called anaerobic soil disinfestation, and it's really successful in Sri Lanka. Another one is strawberry disease. So there's one disease that is a very severe problem in strawberries, and we get the help from the US. A friend in mine, we got the help for the rapid DNA diagnostic techniques because we didn't have it in Sri Lanka. So within a particular time, we could navigate everything. That it's not the case, maybe this is the case. Likewise, we were able to tackle the problem. Now, I'm really happy about it actually. Now we are trying to find a better fungicide regime for the disease. Yeah, those are some of the successful stories, I would say. Still more to do, actually. There's a lot more to do.
My name is Hanin Dweib. I'm from Bethlehem, Palestine. I'm an assistant professor, and I serve as a chairwoman of Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics Department at Palestine Ahli University in Bethlehem. My area of research is focused on testing dietary interventions and its effectiveness on tackling adipose inflammation in early pre-diabetic stages to prevent cardiovascular diseases and diabetes formation. Also, we focus on the sex differences part of how these dietary interventions might change between sexes. When I talk about my research, which is more clinical nutrition, people might think that it's irrelevant to food security, but actually it is in the core of food system and food security because we're tackling the hidden malnutrition, hidden hunger, which is the micronutrient and macronutrient deficiency related to malnutrition, which is induced by overeating and overnutrition, not just underweight and undernutrition. So currently, as you know, in Palestine, there's a war and there's a famine. So people in 2024 are dying from human-induced famine. So challenges to food security in Palestine right now is stability because economical, financial, social, political stability is a huge obstacle against having food security. Even if you have money right now, especially in Gaza, it's not enough to secure good nutritious meals to your children. So on the long-term effect and the short-term effect will affect the future generation, especially the future generation on health-wise and on macro and micronutrient level as well. They will face multiple deficiencies. So the impact that my research is having is that we're trying to apply practical, cheap, and effective solutions to an early stage of prediabetes that will prevent the development of cardiovascular disease and diabetes. First of all, we are lowering the cardiovascular and diabetes incidence in Palestine. Also, it will reduce the cost of managing these diseases that they are chronic and lifelong. So this is what I'm hoping for, is that my research can be applied and then will have the practical impact.
To wrap up, what message do these scientists have for those who have the power to transform or shape our food system?
If I can talk to a policymaker.
So if I can meet a decision maker or policy maker, yes, what they should do?
We have to get away from the silo thinking, a boxed-in perspective, and rather look at a combined collective effort, a systems approach, if you may.
In my opinion, this should be a holistic approach. You shouldn't tackle one thing at a time.
I could tell him that subsidizing is not the only solution.
Yes, in my contest in Africa, I will propose that policymakers develop a political strategy to really impact the smallholder farmer.
Particularly a country like Sri Lanka, we should have a state-of-the-art, rapid disease diagnostic techniques and data management system.
I also develop agricultural policy, including funding for research to resolve the local constraints.
First of all, they should listen to science. If we learned something from COVID experience, is that scientists are more important than football players, more important than actors, actresses, singers. So we are more important. We need more money. We need more fund. We need more visibility. We need more support to do our research and to implement our research. It's not enough just to do research. We need to implement it.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this mini-series, sharing insights and reflections from the 5th Global Food Security Conference. If you'd like to see a video featuring these scientists and find out more about Table's role in the conference, you can find a link on the show notes to the episode's webpage at tabledebates.org to learn more. Next week, we're going to return to the nature season of feed. If you've only listened to these episodes, and the nature season of feed makes no sense to you, first of all, welcome. Second, this podcast that I host speaks with food system experts from across the world who hold different views about what's a good future for food. In our latest season, we look at different ideas about how natural our food and farms should be. Some topics of recent episodes include cultivated meat, gene editing in plants, what's a natural diet, and can we eat our way out of the ecological messes we've created? And now on to the credits. Thanks to you for listening. A huge thanks to the women you've heard from in this episode. We'll link to more information about them and their research on our website. This series was made with the support from Shout It Out, an instrument of the Global Minds program. The Global Food Security Conference organizers are Elsevier, KU Leuven, Wageningen University, and Table. Table is a collaboration of the University of Oxford, Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, Wageningen University in the Netherlands, University of the Andes in Colombia, National Autonomous University in Mexico, and Cornell University. This episode was produced by me, Matthew Kessler, and Jackie Turner. It was edited by Matthew Kessler. Music by Blue Dot Sessions. We'll speak to you soon.